Welcome along. We're going to teach you an introduction to something called spot sparring. Now, in martial arts and in freestyle as well, we have a separate module called sparring. And sparring is where we get to put protective gear on, as head guards and gloves and feet protectors, groin protectors, gum shields. And in a very controlled and very rule-based environment, we make touch contact with each other, both in blocking and attacking, and we learn how to put all the blocks, strikes and kicks that we learn into, I suppose, as what could be as real life situation as possible. It's not, it's only going to give you a small taster of that, but certainly it's a great sport, it's a great competitive sport, it's a fantastic way to get fit. It's amazing, you'll burn up more energy in 10 minutes of doing sparring if you're doing it properly than you would doing a full 45-minute lesson with us. So I hope you'll find some of this quite useful, something you can try at home as well. I'm just going to introduce you to sparring. It's called spot sparring. What that means is that we do this very much on the spot. We haven't got a partner, but we will be learning a lot of very fundamental skills to sparring, and it's going to be a great way to keep your fitness level nice and high, and if your fitness level is low at the moment, then we can use sparring to get it back up pretty quickly. We will be introducing spot sparring to our new program when we reopen later on in the year. So this is something I want to show you now, so you've got the fundamental basics to what we call spot sparring. So you're going to learn how to fight now. You haven't got a real partner for the moment, but hopefully this might ignite an interest in those people that perhaps haven't yet tried sparring, that might try it out in the spot sparring and go, do you know what, I quite like that, let's try it for real. Let's have a look at spot sparring. Okay, so I want to introduce you to the 5 basic key elements to sparring. Without these, you're going to be in trouble in a real life fight situation. So number 1, obviously with our leg forward, you choose which leg comes forward, and we're just going to keep our guard up. And this is something we always teach you, we're always nagging you in the class about. Guard up, guard up, guard up. You need to have it up there. Not too high, not too low, not too far in, not too far away. A question once asked of one of my students, all our blocking is with open hands, can we keep our hands open? Look, yes you can, but my advice to you is, look, the thumb is a risk. Okay, it can dislocate as it comes back. If the fingers are loose, they can pull back as well. And also, if you get those fingers kicked in there, and I've had that happen, that's a huge amount of pain in your hand and an injury you don't want. So my advice would be, is open those hands up when we need to open those hands up. In the meantime, keep that guard up. So one of the things I will be watching when we come to do spot sparring is you've got your guard up. And obviously, even if you change stances, that guard needs to change with it. You can see my arms are not dropping in between and coming back up again. So keep, number 1, keep your guard up. Number 2 is we're going to keep light on our feet. It's no good standing still. Again, you will see certain fighters, they get tired out. They're not moving as much. But my advice would be is to move around. Now, do you need to move around all the time when you're sparring? No. Look, if the person isn't doing anything, you need to move when it's time to move. When you see an attack coming through, that's the time to move. But certainly, staying light on your feet, not being too much of a target is important. So, in the spot sparring, we're going to keep you moving. So we're going to see if we can get you bouncing on the spot. See if you can avoid doing what some of my black belts do. And they think that's jogging on the spot, bouncing on the spot. It's not. Moving around from here. So guard up, making sure our legs stay nice and light. Don't have the stance too big. If you start having the stance too big, you're going to find it difficult to move around. So I tend to find they're just slightly wider than shoulder width. If they're slightly shorter, then that's not a problem. You don't need your feet completely together. You have a loss of balance there. Make sure you can move around, stay nice and light. Make sure also your head, your shoulders, your body is nice and light as well. So rule number 1, guard up. Rule number 2, move. Stay light on your feet. You don't need to be going crazy with your energy when there's nothing happening, but certainly it's good to stay nice and light. Move around. Don't be a target, but also reserve that energy. Don't burn up that energy too much as well. So nice and light and relaxed, but quick, ready to move with the movement. Let's have a look at number 3. Number 3 is changing your stance from time to time. Okay, no good. I know some of us kick probably better on one side than the other. You see a lot of people spar, get in habits of sparring on one side. We teach you in freestyle martial arts everything evenly on both sides. So once we've got the guard up, once we've got the light movement, we need to change that stance from time to time. So it's important. Why do we do this? Because we don't want to be predictable. We don't want to be doing the same kicks over and over again off the same leg. When I see sparring happen, it's turning kick, turning kick, turning kick, turning kick. You've got to move that stance around, you've got to vary your techniques, and we will be doing that once you've learned these basics of it in the lesson with spot sparring, something new to the program. Okay, so rule number 1, hands up. Rule number 2, nice and light on your feet. Rule number 3, change your stance from time to time. Okay, let's have a look at the 2 final steps to introduction spot sparring. So number 4 is don't take your eye off your partner, okay, or the person attacking you. And also in a real life fight situation, as we've learned with something called 4-directional line work, which is a previous video, is attacks can come from any direction. So we're not only looking this way, but when we've got a gap, we need to just be checking what's happening around us as well. For the moment, for the basic steps, so we're going to be making sure we keep looking forward. Again, even though in spot sparring you're not actually physically up against anybody, I still want everybody looking forward as if it's real, okay? We're going to avoid, we see people looking around, be some penalty press-ups coming in, so we're going to try and keep you focused on those 5 basic steps of sparring. And here's the 5th one. Stop your body from squaring up, becoming straight on. Keep your body sideways on. So if you've got a good stance, like I said, just slightly over shoulder width, 1 shoulder width, maybe even 1.5 at a push if you've got long legs, that will help keep that body sideways. Why? Main targets, your floating ribs around the back here, your kidneys, your solar plexus, just as the rib cage opens right in here, your ribs, your floating ribs up here, up into your chest. That also hurts if you get that wrong. I've broken ribs up here in sparring as well. You've got your collarbone. Obviously, when we're sparring in competition level, yeah, you're not going to get those problems, but it is a target in a real life fight situation that could be damaged. So try to avoid, we've got to avoid opening up this area here particularly. The groin is also open up here as well. The head, obviously we want to keep those hands up to protect the head, but we need to keep that body sideways on. So one of the penalties we're going to pick up on is if we see people are bouncing, they're getting relaxed and their body ends up straight on. The amount of times I see watching sparring, refereeing it, being an umpire in sparring competitions, is you see those people come in, their body's starting to face forward. Sure, some martial arts kind of use that techniques and it works to some degree. We're going to ask you to keep that body well protected, guard up, and that body sideways. So let's go through those 5 steps again. Number 1, guard up. Number 2, nice and light on your feet, moving. Don't need to overdo it, don't need to burn up your energy too much. We're going to keep you moving more as a fitness thing really. But in reality, you're going to need to certainly be nice and light to stop yourself being a target, but also so you can move around nice and quick as well. Rule number 3 is obviously we're going to change that stance from time to time. Rule number 4 is we're going to keep looking forward, we're going to keep looking at our opponent. So as we come through, keep looking, keep focused, stop looking around. Obviously in a real life fight situation, sure, from time to time you're going to have to glance around, but for the spot sparring we're going to keep you looking forward, keep you focused. And the final rule, probably the most important one, keep that body sideways, stop that body from coming straight on from there. Okay, I hope that helps, and I'm going to show you very quickly some 1 or 2 little techniques that we will be doing to show you how it all starts to fit together in a more of a sparring style technique. Okay, so just as an introduction to spot sparring, I want to try and save some of this stuff for when we come to do the lesson. We've obviously covered the 5 fundamental basics to sparring. Once we've got that, I'm just going to turn at an angle so you can see me from this position here. We're obviously going to be practicing single techniques. So we're going to be practicing single blocks with the bounce happening, with a bit of movement happening. We can also practice it going forward and practice it going back as well. Obviously, we can even practice it with a change as well. But main thing we'll be focusing on is teaching single blocks and single strikes or combination strikes or single kicks, not only on the spot, but for higher grades going forward and back as well. Because again, it's all going to be needed for sparring. You can't do everything on the spot. You can't do every punch and kick in one position. Stuff's got to move forward, and also we've got to do stuff going back. We tend to find we're more defensive going back and counter-attacking back. We're more attacking going forward, but we'll teach you that through the spot sparring. So we're going to be teaching some of the basic techniques. So for beginners, for example, things like jab, bouncing on the spot, jab cross, changing stance, Again, making it a little bit more real, keeping focus, keeping that guard up, keeping the body sideways on. So again, for lower grades, just single basic techniques, basic blocks, basic strikes and basic kicks. Mid-grades, more higher level, coloured belt level students. Obviously we're going to start to look at more combinations. We could do front kick, double punch, turning kick, back fist, palms. So you start to put 1, 2 or 3 techniques together to create a basic combination. Now a combination can be anything, any number of moves, but in reality, we tend to focus on 3 3 moves within a combination for higher grades. Black belts, obviously we could start to have spin kicks and all sorts of things. So any kick that you have learned, any strike, whatever it might be, any block can be performed on its own, obviously relative to your level, but also can be performed for higher grades in combination as well. And obviously, so you'd be building up. Black belts, you're going to be open to doing freestyle spot sparring. So you'll be on the spot here, and I will ask you to do 1 block and 2 strikes of choice. So you would just come through with whatever just flows out of your head. Because in reality, again, in a fight situation, in sparring, in competitions, you will just need to know those techniques are there. So this is really where the advanced skills of black belts come in, because a lot of those skills now, hopefully, will be very unconscious in the mind and just flow as naturally as you would walk or run. So just a very, very brief introduction to spot sparring. I hope you found that useful. One thing I will just finish with as well, which is a question I've been asked many times over the years in martial arts. We have 3 ranges of techniques. We have something called a long range, a mid-range and a close range. This is going to be important for the combinations that you learn in spot sparring. And lower grade, don't panic, you won't be doing combinations, you'll just be doing a very basic level of this. So don't panic if that looks a bit too much for you. A long range technique is the longest technique that we have, would be a kick. Okay, normally we don't have any hands that are considered long range, though admittedly we do have some techniques that can travel a long distance. But to keep it simple, kicks, most of the kicks, whether they're step through, jump, whatever kick they may be, are considered long range techniques because you're more than normally an arm's distance away with the legs. The only kick that is not a long range kick is a knee kick, which is a close range technique, which is half the distance of the normal leg position, making it confusing. So all you've got to remember is all the kicks are long range, apart from the knee kick, which is a close range technique. Mid-range techniques are arms only, and they would be all the strikes with a straight arm. Punch, a back fist, a knife hand strike, an inwards knife hand strike, an inwards side fist. Anything with a long arm, a full stretched arm or close to a full stretch arm, is a mid-range technique. So what we may do to students, higher grades, we may say, I want to see 1 close range technique, 1 mid-range technique and 1 long range technique, 1 following after another, okay? So really putting you under pressure. The close range techniques, again with arms only, apart from that 1 kick there, the knee kick, all the other techniques that are close range are half that arm length. So hook punch, uppercut, elbow techniques, any of those are close range. So basically the person would need to be close to me for those techniques to work. A mid-range, they'd obviously be within arm's reach, and a long range would be in a leg's reach. Okay? So just so you know what long range, mid-range and close range is, because again, it's going to be useful for you to know for higher grades within the spot sparring. Welcome to spot sparring, something new to your program when we reopen later on in the year. Thank you.